Good evening and welcome to another scene in the living world of darkness in Roland Anarch venue. Tonight we have a couple of the kindred who are going to meet with a um, certain master parties. At this point, the professor, a fairly new citizen of the city, and Lucy Smith are approaching well, the the nicer part of Manhattan. Actually, the some of the more expensive places, some of the more pristine clubs, restaurants, stuff like that. It's up there, and yeah, I do not know if they take a taxi or a car or whatever, but they will come up to the address.
They take a private hire car. It's not quite like it's not a posh one like Selena has, but it's not as bad as a taxi either. It's somewhere in the middle. It's it's a place. It's a type of car that's clean, so that you wouldn't worry about getting anything on your dress inside it, and like a New York taxi, I imagine.
Luckily, the dress
the
is
professor-
red, so
Yeah.
There is it's a fairly clean front. There isn't too flashy. There's a door and there's a fairly nice entrance. There is outside the door there's a guy who's standing around, and as you come up, he'll just say, "Ah, good evening. Can I have your names, please?"
Just a moment. I haven't finished describing my outfit.
we're still in the cab.
We're still at the cab.
Oh wait, it wasn't.
No,
the cab.
joking. Right. Yeah. Basically, nobody cares. Because he hasn't got tits. But Arthur's wearing a really nice suit.
Sorry, I'm
But
not
nobody
that.
gives a shit.
That was a joke, by the way.
Now you're bad now. Get out of here.
I like that. No one's in a serious frame of mind for this scene at all.
Someone pointed to the others. What the hell is this?
Yeah, you don't need to
yes,
describe
so-
your dress that much. That was what I was implying.
Dress! Got a nice dress for Arthur, guys.
Okay.
We're bloody Toreador, alright? So fuck you.
I'm okay.
This is what we
Sorry.
do.
Yes. You're a Tremere. You're not a Toreador.
So yes, he's basically a Toreador, just accidental
okay,
for me.
fair.
Right. So, he gets out of the car. He opens the door for Lucy, and he doesn't seem to be in a massive rush. This guy can stand there and wait for him for a second.
Lucy is grabbing all her skirts. She is obviously not her own dress. It's probably something that Selena told her to wear because she is just she's not comfortable in this. She's pushing and pulling on the dress, making a very awkward impression. But when she's finally out of the car and has all the skirts with her and has everything spread out half on the floor, she sighs. Okay. Yeah. And will raise her head and try to look as dignified and as pretty as possible.
Arthur just sort of stands very straight. He's picked a large overcoat again for some reasons.
All right.
And he looks to the man that approaches them.
Oh, he doesn't approach. He's just standing by the door. And he just says, "Oh, hello. May I have your names, please?"
Professor Branman, and this is Miss Lucy Smith.
He checks a little book. He opens it and checks your names. I'm sorry, Professor Brennan. You are indeed invited, but I do not have. I'm terribly sorry, my dear, but I don't have your name on the list. I'm terribly sorry.
Oh,
I'm going to make a roll. Do. This roll will be at difficulty 3. Because enchanting voice is awesome. God damn it!
Wow.
Sorry.
What are
I
you?
got 1 success.
You got 1 success.
He says, oh, my dear fellow, I'm sure you could let my good lady date in with me. It won't be too much trouble. We'll keep out of everybody's way.
That is not a contested roll for it. It is just something he needs to roll. He just thinks. Is she here to meet? Is she here to meet Mr. Williams as well?
Yes, we're both friends, Mr. Boobs.
Ah, well. Have a very good evening. And he let you in.
He smiles and then walks in.
And Lucy clutches on her purse and follows.
You go up a flight of stairs. Everything in here seems very clean, and it's like this dark wood. Everything is polished. Everything is very clean, and there is like the smell of tobacco, and there isn't too much light in here. This is like a lounge, cigar lounge of some sort, and you will hear off in the distance a fairly familiar voice, and you will see Theodore sitting and seemingly talking with a couple of people. It just, yeah, that was absolutely dreadful. Absolutely. Most horrendous I've ever seen. Yes, travesty. And there will be like a bit of faint laughs, and you don't need to roll anything to notice that when you approach this little group of 4 or 5 people, you can feel some of the effects of presence from what you think is Theodore. You're quite sure. You can. It's fairly distinct, so you don't need to. It's not like you need to roll it, but you can tell.
What's the demographic like? Males, females?
There is 1 woman and 3 guys, and Theodore, of course.
Are they human, I presume?
From what you can see, yes.
I'll make a perception alertness check if you want to see for breathing.
Okay. And Mr. Spillane, what is he doing at the moment?
He's chilling in
screw
the
it up.
bus. Oh,
Never mind. I'm rolling really bad. Okay.
this is not Lisa's night. Sam is he's chilling back of a hired similar to Professor Branwen's car, but probably somewhat higher end. So it's definitely in the it's definitely as nice as Selena's, if not probably a bit nicer. Having spent more time in the city, having built up a larger reservoir of cash to then irresponsibly splash out. And he's coming in the finest suit that venture money can buy. And we'll go through pretty much the same motions that the pair that recently arrived has gone through.
Yeah, but unless he tackles you in the entrance because he's not letting you in. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
I still got
that.
favorite mobile boy.
You will be let in after you give your name. There's no hassle. He smiles and says, "Have a very good evening," and let you in.
Thank you, good sir.
And Theodore, after a little while, he'll just say, Oh, it's been very, very lovely chatting with you. Ah, and Marcus, I really hope to see you soon. We have an agreement, I assume. You'll see one of them. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And there is some, like, he's rounding off the conversation. That's somewhat clear, and he just nods to them and just bids them farewell.
You see
And,
that
He comes.
the professor clocks
Go
the
ahead.
woman at the corner of his eye.
Mm-hmm.
He he just sort of clocks her, and he makes eye contact with her, and smiles, and then he will, in sort of like a silent sort of, I will get around to introducing myself to you signal. Before he looks to Theodore, who's now coming over.
Ah. Good evening. He looks at Lucy, then he looks at the professor and just says, well, I did not expect you to bring company. It's not said I don't appreciate company, but a heads up would have been appreciated.
I apologise. It was a little bit impromptu. Miss Smith.
It is quite all right.
Well, she was unaccompanied for the evening, and I thought that bringing her along would not be too much of a problem. I realised that I should.
It is not. I just, well.
It is my fault. I wanted to learn the ropes, as it were, from, well, people with experience. You can see that Lucy is trying to imitate the way Selena holds herself, albeit she misses that natural leader capacity as she's still so young, and you can clearly see that she's trying to at least look dignified and ancient and stuff like that. So, but from time to time, that nervous laugh just pops through.
Please, the both of you, come with me. And he will walk you over. You will come over to what is essentially it's a room, essentially. There is a door, but it's more of a glass door that you can slide in, and it's a private room. This is like, there is leather couches, leather chairs. Like this, the upholstery is very nice. This like dark red kind, like you see in like when it's, well, some people like, but this place it's high end. That's fairly sure. And
is it like a members club or something, like a smoking club or a whiskey club?
Something like that. Yes.
Okay, I think I got the idea.
It's clear that there's a lot of cigar smoking and a lot of middle-aged and older gentlemen enjoying some scotch and some laughs and some like cigars and stuff here. That's fairly certain.
In which case, Arthur's going to light a cigar.
You will be offered one.
Yeah, he takes one, clips it, and lights it with a match.
And Theodore will light one as well. Just sits there for a moment and just looks at you. So, how can I assist the two of you this evening?
I just wanted to check all was well with you, considering how expediently we had to leave the situation last time.
Oh, yes. Dreadful. I'm terribly sorry that, well, I suppose my preparations for such events did turn out quite well. Everyone got out in time, no one was hurt, and there's about gained nothing. He smokes away on his cigar. I guess, well, And it had to happen. It was, of course, a shame. But I hope that this is a lesson to you. Although Mr. Lucius's initiative in certain ways are breathtakingly brutal, his point stands. Somehow it would appear that those, I cannot truly see how, someone most likely gifted with animalism is sending out felines to spy on us.
That's quite that was whilst I found my colleague's actions a little brash, I fully support his action there. It's something I've been warned about. My sire warned me about. There are certain creatures that do use familiars in that way.
So, apparently your sire lives up to his reputation. He just gives a little hint with the cigar to you and just puts it in his mouth again.
Arthur smiles. He seems to sort of bounce on his seat a little bit. Not like obvious, not a lot, but it is talking about Lady Valerian seems to puff him up a little bit because he's bloodbound her. He thinks she's like the best thing since sliced bread. And he just goes, well, the Lady Valerian is well known for her sharp tactical mind, so I would expect less.
Well, I am sure you would agree that a person like her would be good to have here. But, alas, not all is how we wish it to be, obviously. But do apologize. Lucy, please, lighten up. It's quite all right. You can relax. It's fine.
Can you ever relax when the sheriff comes through the door, though? Can you really? Can anyone?
I just imagine him crashing through the glass now, like, here, bitch.
Yeah, relax.
What's up, motherfucker?
Here's Samuel.
Oh God.
Which one of you pricks ordered a stiff Irish?
It's literally like he has through someone's chest. He just peeks through the chest. It's like, here's Samuel.
Don't literally do that, or I'll have to go into initiative because I might punch you in the face. It will do literally nothing, but everyone's on their shit now.
Lucy was, however, sitting perfectly upright. She seemed to be listening to the conversation, but she still kind of made a slight jump as Theodore suddenly addressed her. She didn't expect to be addressed. And as the sheriff walked in, if I'm correct, her eyes dart over to him. She remembers that he has a high position as well, and she actually met him once. So yes, she does actually jump up at this point and curtsies like really deeply, with all the red skirts kind of draping over the floor, and then gets up again and sits down, not saying a word still.
Yeah, the professor stands when the sheriff enters the room.
Yep. The sheriff walks in and looking perhaps a bit more fit for purpose. He's a sheriff. A military uniform would be fit for purpose. Actually, perhaps fit for clan would be more apt. Wearing a lovely black suit with a little black bow tie even to accompany it. He looks like he's come for a dinner party and not a fight for once. And
He's got a gun in there somewhere.
I'm not even gonna have you roll for it. You just instinctively know this at this point.
Like that gun that I made, it was like really hard to hide. It's fucking enormous.
It's in his jacket there somewhere. You know it.
Yeah.
It's
Why do you think the professor wears a trench coat all the time?
Theodore gets up and looks at the sheriff. Ah, good evening, Mr. Spillane.
Lucy would have kept standing as well.
Arthur smiles encouragingly at Lucy.
Don't you, Master Harpies? And we'll shake his hand vigorously, and we'll then kind of look at the small pairing of Arthur and Lucy. I'll go, good talk, Miss Professor Branwyn and Miss Smith. How you doing these nights?
Arthur will let Lucy answer first.
And Lucy knows her place as fledgling, so wouldn't dare to open her mouth before anyone else does. Or before everyone else has done so.
For goodness sake. The professor just smiles and says, I'm very well, thank you, Mr. Spillane. He corrects himself almost instantly, as he is etiquette 3 and would know not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he
You'll
says,
shake both the hands.
how is it?
Happening?
He says, how is Lucky working out for you?
Haven't had a chance to field test her yet, but I'm sure she'll do fine work.
Let me know if there's any adjustments that need to be made. She's got a bit of a kick to her, but I'm sure you can handle it.
I'll keep you in the know.
Please, sit down, Sheriff. The cigar?
I don't mind if I do, thank you very much. And when given a cigar, he'll light it and starts focusing more intently on Lucy.
Sorry, yeah, that's my cat meowing.
Oh God.
There's a cat in here. Quick, shoot it.
I get the field test that. Lucky now.
Lucy will again kind of give a small curtsy before she sits down, and then my notes are fine. Lady Selena has taken care of me, and I couldn't have wished for a better mentor.
She is quite unique, I must say.
She is astonishing in many ways.
Quite so. But not
Sorry, that
only in the
reference.
obvious way. She can teach you much indeed.
Okay, now I know who you're talking about. Oh, sorry, my mic was very far away from my mouth. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But my sheriff. You were not present, nor was anyone from your clan. I hope you are well aware of what happened, but, well, officially I have not reported anything to you, and for that I must apologize. This is a social function, but well, the times our city is in does not afford us many luxuries, and this is one of them that I must forego if you wish for a, what you would call it, debriefing.
I heard you had to leave your Elysium. What happened?
My Elysium. Well, it was merely a place. It was not Elysium, and it was not secure. I made that fairly clear to people. I had contingency plans that kicked into effect, but, well, while people were gathered, I had a visit from the Same person I believe you encountered. Well, not in person, but over a intercom at some point. Rather rough Englishman.
Ah, you had an encounter with that individual. Interesting.
Yeah. Yes, he showed up at the lounge, wanted a cup of coffee, was very loud about it, did not take his eyes off my eyes. Obviously, he wanted to intimidate. I made it apparent to Lucius that he should secure the back entrance. Lucius did so, it quite fast and effectively, but he did not take the time to, make sure that it did not produce a bit of noise. So, when he heard that, certain movements from Mr. Earl, as he's called, Earl Wellington, well, we had to move fast. We barricaded the other door, went into the back room, and escaped through a recently made, escape tunnel, I suppose you could call it, leading to the sewers. And upon leaving, I opened a gas main in the basement. And after a little while, hoping that no one would follow us if they smelled gas, I lit a match, and, a little while after, the whole place blew up. Nothing major, not the building, just the place.
Aye. That was the wise choice.
I am quite certain I may have gotten a few of them, as a bonus, I suppose you could say.
I'm not sure that those particular gentlemen will be staying around here. I think it might be a little bit too warm for them.
Well, one can only hope. Although this brute, what I've heard of him is, he does not seem to back away from fights. Him and his cohorts seem to be quite thirsty for fighting, and mincing, chopping, and grinding meat whenever they can find it. Two of them, at least, are Samitsi and somewhat happy with, what shall we say, home modeling.
Good. We can use this zealousness to our advantage.
Right, sir.
All we need to do is give them a target and they'll run straight into us.
Do you have anyone who's particularly disliked by them more than others? Or who would be a valuable target?
Sam thinks for a moment. Obviously his thoughts very quickly wander to the Italians, but obviously being a part of the spat themselves aren't really that target. They consider some other rivals, other individuals, but most of the enemies of this time are actually Sabat. So, I see him think on this for a while. Funny enough, I'm lacking in enemies that are actually not so bad right now. I found myself rather pushed for ideas.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be an enemy, only a trap. An illusion.
That's true. Could be. But they already went after one hospital. Let's see if they want to go after another. Actually, now that I think about it, it's less than 2 weeks until Sao Paulo Grande, isn't it? They're probably stockpiling for them.
And we really shouldn't wait until Palo Grande to attack.
My hope is that we have an attack ready by the end of this week. We can make a push from Harlem and Washington Heights.
Going on the offensive. That's good to hear.
We don't really have much choice. I assume.
I am no general. I am not well versed in combat or tactics on a city or country scale. I will leave that to Mr. Spillane's very capable hands. But yeah, you could probably convince me that anything is a good idea at this point when it comes to this type of war.
Well, part of the reason we ended up where we were right now is because we got too complacent. We focused on other threats when we should have been paying attention to the Sabbat.
One should always keep an eye on them, as I've learned a couple of times.
Mm.
Aye, they're unpredictable. Well, they're not unpredictable, they're very predictable. They're a bunch of bloodthirsty psychopaths, so you'll know they're going to be coming at you sooner or later.
Well, at least you see the bloodthirsty psychopaths on the front line. You probably don't see the people that pull the strings. And those are the people that we really need to go for.
Aye. There'll always be more shovel heads to kill, and there'll always be more... Same way that there'll always be more broken windows to fix.
Take out the puppeteers and you'll find that the rabble tend to disperse a little bit. At least from my experience.
Well,
Aye. Problem is, they're rather cagey right now. We need to do something to flush them out. Right now, I'm focused... sorry.
Have we got any methods of restricting anything they may be able to put on for Palo Grande? I don't mean physically, like showing up with guns or anything. I mean stopping parades from happening, stopping crowds from gathering in areas and things like that.
If I may interrupt, what is this Palo Grande that you're talking about?
Okay, so there's a battle of breaking the masquerade and having us clean up the mess. So every Halloween, they go out to wherever there's a big event, which is fortunate for them because it's Halloween, and they go on a mass masquerade breaking spree, which also conveniently ties in to their other favorite activity, which also happens to be mass murder.
I see. That sounds horrible. Well,
I've seen it in Boston, and it's not very pleasant.
I don't know much about stopping a crowd, but if you want people off the streets, maybe if we can tell them that there is... I mean, I was a nurse, and usually when there was like this outbreak of, I don't know, a Spanish flu or a bird's disease, that usually kept some people away from big gatherings, sometimes even cancelled them.
Arthur not proving that.
I heard there was some people have... I mean, I know that there might be people who have help with hospitals. I think I've heard that mentioned, right?
Yes,
That might
there's
actually be a good idea.
there's a couple of things that we could do, and that's a very good idea, Lucy. We could do something like that with medical side, and we could make people worried about sending their children out to trick or treat. I believe there's some sort of clown craze going on at the moment. That's disturbing for parents.
So if we would send schools in vans wearing clowns masks around certain neighborhoods and spread the story about a disease going around which would target children and massive groups and is highly contagious. Maybe we need to not have one big event, but just a few smaller ones.
I agree. Mr. Splay?
Setting up some reports to keep the local families paranoid would do us good. I can, and he air quotes, impose a curfew on certain areas of the city, namely my domain and Tribeca. It's gonna make feeding less fun there for that day. But it's better safe than sorry. I can't obviously shut down the entirety of the city though.
No, but damage limitation will be better than nothing.
Maybe it would be an idea to also check. I don't know, but I know there's one thing that I'm sort of good at, and that is looking. I'm not bad when it comes to seeing stuff fast. If there are more people with this talent, and we place them in key positions around Manhattan or wherever our boundaries are, I don't know, or at key positions in our place, like trigger points, I don't know, Times Square, Wall Street, that kind of places that are visited often by big crowds. We put people with aspects there. That's what it's called, I believe. Then we would see them sooner, and we would be able to act sooner.
Well, that might be a good idea. They tend to put a bit of work and pride into this, sick as they are. Seeing them is one thing. Averting a potential catastrophe once you've seen them is quite another, since there will be quite a few people involved. I think your first idea of making sure that there's the least amount of people present is the best way to go.
I was kind of thinking of both, but you are right, of course. I'm deeply sorry. I don't know much about this group that you're fighting. And
these creatures care very little for the secrecy of our secrets, and they have no qualms with killing anyone. So it's limiting the amount of people that were there, and keeping a watchful eye are both capital ideas.
that sounds absolutely horrible. Just simply killing all these innocent, well, for as far as human beings can be innocent, right? We all have our sins, but
Sam nods, looking slightly distant. He doesn't look grim. rather than he looks like he looks serious. There's that distant, serious look in his eye. Says it's something you grow accustomed to when you live next door to the Sabbat. I don't really know why they do it, other than out of resentment that they can't be on top of the food chain. It's only evidence of their own weakness. Their inability to deal with humans on their terms is something that can be used against them.
I've heard some disturbing rumours that we've had a few traitors. Are these true?
Quite so.
Quick memory, OC, was Arthur around when they were told about Emily? Did you know that?
No.
Okay.
He doesn't know who Emily is in respect to anything either, so...
Okay, that's fine. I was just wondering if you were around for that scene, because we've had like 3 scenes on her. But yeah. In which case, and we'll just say, aye, we've had a few. Most of them are already dead and gone, but there are a few still active. Namely, the former Mistress of Harpies, Madame Monroe, who honestly we should have seen coming. Emily Stevenson, former Hound, and I should not be forgetting this. Is that all of them? Madame Monroe, Emily Stevenson, Samantha, Mistress of Harpies.
I believe that is the official count.
Aye, the rest are dead.
What are the basics you can tell me about these individuals? Are they... Do we have any indication of why they went to the other side? Or
Well,
were they double agenting? This is quite concerning. I mean, I understand your queries here.
well, from what I've been able to gather, as I came here, Samantha was less prominent or less active than I thought a Mistress of Harpies should be, and had been so for a little while, which now makes a lot of sense. Although she is of Clan Malkavian, so certain discretions, of course, were made. I would not imply that she was not good at her job. She has certain things that could prevent her from doing the fullest of her job. I've gained some of her notes, some of her, well, official work. Seems somewhat professional, but I thought her lacy or, well, weird at prioritizing it. Does, however, seem to be quite explainable now.
Aye. Now, from what I've heard, Monroe is engaged in an act of diablerie, so we're not too certain about what her current abilities are, but it's likely she's grown more powerful than she was before. Emily Stevenson is already highly dangerous as it was, and I would highly recommend that if you happen to run into her, you do not engage her at all. She is an extremely dangerous kangaroo.
Very well.
Monroe is a bit more tricky because you're unlikely to see her coming. And if you find yourself being followed by a cat, well, you're not going to want to be careful just because it's about sending rodents after us, but because one of them might in fact be Emily. She can turn into a cat herself, as per her advanced protean abilities. It is her preferred form, if I remember correctly.
Oh well, nothing escapes the flames. He smiles.
Indeed. A good way to tell if what you're being followed by is a kindred or not is if the animal is in any way discomforted by you or afraid of you. If it's running away or keeping a long distance away, or it seems to be scared of you or angry at you, then you can probably rest assured that it's an ordinary animal. But if it seems to be following you or trying to hide, and or deliberately conceal itself in a more coherent fashion, then it's likely it is Emily. Sam dropping that kindred law bomb.
The professor looks a little bit disturbed because there's quite some high-profile traitors happening.
She's sitting very, very silently.
Monroe had been brought in once before for conversing with the Sabbat, but the court at the time decided to let her live for reasons I still do not understand. And it appears they have paid for that decision now. Which leaves it as my job to clean up that mess.
The professor nods. All traitors should be dealt with appropriately.
Aye. Not one of them shall escape, oh lucky. He smiles boldly.
Well, I will. I'm working on engineering some things that will help us in taking down these traitors and monsters alike.
Is there any way I can assist? I don't really have a lot I can help with, but, well, I don't know.
There is, Miss Smith. Keep watch. There's some of us aren't as gifted as you are with the power of sight, and those who are sneaky, like these Miss Monroe and Miss Emily, they will count on that. Maybe you can be our eyes and ears.
I will do my very best, yes.
He smiles at her. He just sort of seems to continue interrogating her, basically, as he's been doing most of the evening.
Sam looks at Lucy somewhat affectionately. This fledgling appears to have a better head on her shoulders than half the units he's ever met in his lifetime, so he seems quite pleased by her presence and her actions thus far.
Lucy is completely unaware of that, as she is looking at her knees, like her purse is on top of her lap, her hands on top of her purse again. She focuses mostly on that. After all her superiors are in this room, and yeah, it's best to keep a low profile.
You really have a low profile. A Tremere, a Master of Harpies, and a Sheriff are all in the same room with you.
No!
There you go!
Doing something wrong here.
Sam's definitely not letting you get away with this. As you'll take note of, you kind of looking down very intently, like the child at the back of the classroom that's that really doesn't want to have to answer a question, and is just trying to avoid the teacher's eye.
Uh-huh.
And you'll just say,
exactly what she's doing now.
Enough, lass. You're doing good work.
She looks up, and for a moment that smile that she carries around mostly is back on her lips again. It's like, yeah, thanks. It's not something I'm really accustomed with yet, its welfare. I'm happy that whatever I'm saying just makes some sense, never mind.
Youth. I remember when I was a fledgling. You're doing better than most I've met.
Out of character. What do you need, Lisa?
I'm going to go and speak to the lady in the other room.
Right. You can do that.
Arthur just says, "Excuse me, I'm going to refresh my whiskey." And he stands up and leaves the 3 to it, and makes his way into the main room, taking note of this particular woman and what she seems to be doing / drinking.
She is having a sherry. For the moment, I do not have a appropriate picture. Not really.
Okay, what does she look like?
She's probably 40. You'd say like mid-40s. Well-to-do. I mean, it's not a cheap dress, and it's not. She looks. She's just looks a little bit bored, to be honest. And she's standing. She smiles at you, come over, and just nods at you.
He looks at the sherry, appraises the bottle slightly, and he says, not bad sherry, but I've had better at my previous club."
Oh,
He smiles.
Oh, not too bad. I'll have to stick with this for the moment, I suppose.
I can recommend a few if you're ever venturing out. Professor Branwyn.
Professor. She shakes her hand, or his hand.
He takes her hand gently. "I noticed that you were being slightly neglected in this corner by our poorly mannered gentlemen around us."
Well, it seems that has come to an end. She flashes you a bit of a smile.
He smiles. "And we'll make a roll. And we'll probably fail." I'm going to spend a willpower because I've been rolling really badly all day.
Couldn't use a willpower.
You got this. Don't worry.
Woohoo! I'm using my voice. I get
Yeah.
-3. So.
Yeah, it's quite clear. Just if out of character, if you need to leave.
Well, basically, he will. That was a seduction roll.
Yeah.
He's coming on to her and chatting her up, and what he'll do is he'll chat her up and get her number, invite her out for a drink another day, find out a bit about her.
Quite certain that she is in favor, very, very, very much in favor of that idea.
Excellent.
Yes, you do get her a number for her. Yes, it takes like 10 minutes where you just converse, but yeah, that can work.
He will get her number and he will politely bid her adieu and say that he will call her soon and go back to The others in the glass room, smirking to himself as he has a new scotch, and he's sliding the lady's number into his pocket, looking a little bit pleased with himself. But says nothing as he sits down.
Theodore just looks him up and down and just nods to himself and just, so, Mr. Spillane, was there anything else you want to discuss with me?
Ah, yes. I'm sure at this point you've heard about Yelizim will be setting up a own domain. I just thought I'd deliver the message face to face.
Oh, that's delightful. That's very good news indeed. Well, I'm not going to demand or say anything in that regard, but I hope that recent events and my slight misfortune has emphasized the need for adequate security.
I've been renovating our security since your last announcement.
Very good. Very good. Well, I appreciate that very much. Clan Mentru is, and you yourself are indeed, a boon for our city.
My thanks. Same to you. You've done much to keep civil discourse going in these troubled times for us.
One can expect no less from a master of harpies.
Sam smiles, finally satisfied that there is a master of harpies that understands this. I like that son of a bitch traitor.
He will just say, oh, and please, officially you are my guests here, but next time you were to, if I am here, please, if anyone comes here and is bringing guests of our company, shall we say, please notify me before you come. It would be
Arthur looks a little bit embarrassed.
quite practical if you get me a bit of a heads up, maybe 45 minutes or so.
Yes, apologies again.
I do so apologize as well.
Think nothing of it. You two are quite civil. I mean, it's more if, and he looks to Spillane and just class him as, if people like Mr. Spillane here were to get his +5 or 6, I would be in trouble. Yeah. Honestly now, yeah, it is simply a matter of...
Sorry.
It is simply a matter of...
Arthur actually laughed. Does Arthur laugh at that? I'm not sure. No, he'll smile. The player will laugh.
Theodore
It's a
is clearly
sarcastic
making
laugh.
a joke. He's clearly making a joke that Sam probably, which is true, that if Sam were to bring some of his buddies, they would have a bit of more trouble fitting in a place like this than Lucy and the professor have. That is what he's implying, but he's implying it with a smile, and he's laughing at himself, so he's not taking it too serious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, Sam fully agrees. Sam himself is very much aware that he is...
well, not Sam, but some of his friends,
oh, yeah, no. Sam is just
say.
aware that he himself is a criminal, and that most of his friends are even less tactful than he is, which is saying something.
But please, do stay. You are welcome. Yeah, just a bit of a time before would be very much appreciated. But I must be going now. Right. He looked
I
at
think,
his watch. Yes, maybe. Yeah, I think I'll have to get going myself. It has been an absolute pleasure.
I think Miss Smith and I have a few appointments as well, don't we, Miss Smith?
Oh, yes, of course. She says that she can kind of almost tell by her responses. She, at this point, has no idea what the professor is saying or is talking about, but she will follow him as that is her job
He
to say.
politely will say goodbye to Theodore and explain his character name. I completely forgot for a second there.
No.
She will again curtsy very, very deeply.
And Theodore will bid them farewell.
Mm-hmm. Sam, likewise, will bow his hand. He's lovely.
Lucian
And-
is way too late for the scene.
As
Yes.
Jesse enters the scene, we will close the scene. Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.